Hey listeners, we hope you are enjoying the holidays. Thank you for joining us for this bonus episode. This is part 2 of our Husband Takeover, in which you're going to hear my husband Erik talk about his most stressful memories in parenting our 6 children. We hope you enjoy.
Hi, and welcome to 10 Kids, 2 Docs, Parenting Insights from Pediatrician Moms. I'm Dr. Sylvia Bank.
And I'm Dr. Vivian Carlin. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We are so excited today because we are being joined by 2 special guests, our husbands, Joseph Bank and Erik Carlin. First of all, I'd like to introduce my husband, Joseph Bank.
While I'm not a doctor, I do think of myself as an experienced parent and somebody who enjoys parenting, so I might have some advice on those fronts.
Great, welcome.
This is my husband, Erik Carlin.
Yeah, Vivian deals with anything medical in our family, anything related to parenting, but hopefully I can share some insights as a dad.
Well, thank you for joining us, and let's jump in.
Welcome to the 10 Kids, 2 Docs podcast. Seasoned pediatricians and longtime friends, Sylvia Bank and Vivian Carlin have counseled thousands of parents and are raising 4 and 6 kids, respectively. Join these doctor moms as they incorporate fun and their combined wisdom and experience to share parenting insights for anyone looking for practical and trustworthy guidance. Please note that this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment from your doctor.
We are 10 Kids, 2 Docs, but you guys are still a part of that 10 kids, right? There are kids and your kids too. So our big theme and what's really drove us to create the podcast and continue our programming is this thought of parents under pressure. Based on a Surgeon General advisory last year, parents today feel a lot of pressure parenting. And we spent in our season opener talking a little bit about our personal moments in parenting where we felt was high pressure. So we were hoping that as parents of, 4 and 6 kids respectively, maybe you could share with our audience your personal parents under pressure moments.
The question was, when have I felt most kind of under pressure as a dad? And, we have 6 kids. And so in talking to people, that almost always creates some sort of reaction in another person when I say that.
I'm sure you guys don't get that with only 4.
No.
4.
You have 50% more.
Yes. But, I always joke that everything's bigger in Texas. But I'll say that 0 to 1 is the hardest because you have to really transition from your life is not your own anymore. It's not about, even when you get married, your life is kind of not about it's not your own anymore. It's about you and your spouse, but you still have adult related activities and things you're doing. As soon as you have your first child, it now really becomes about, more than just the husband and wife. Yeah. So like to me that the hardest transition is 0 to 1.
I'm going to agree 100% on that.
Yeah.
0 to 1 by far. When we had the second child, I knew that I could help by taking care of the first child while she was taking care of the newborn or,
right.
or the second and third or the second, third and fourth or whatever. And I also had some familiarity now with and I know what my role will be if and when I do take care of whatever. So part of that, not knowing what your role thing, totally goes away with the subsequent children too.
Right.
Exactly how you're going to help or whatever.
Yeah.
And the time thing is a whole other aspect of it though. Time going from I might have 3 or 4 hours every day after work where I can just do whatever the heck I want. Take my spouse into account, but whatever too.
Sure.
I'd be pretty lucky with the newborn if you had 30 minutes a week, right? Totally unaccounted for time. Yeah. That's a pretty sharp change.
I fully agree too. I always tell people 0 to 1 was the hardest. And that's even with the adoption, which doing it through the foster system is an exceptionally stressful time.
Well, that's actually, if I were to just thinking about our, parenting career, if you will, so far, I think 0 to 1 is the hardest. I always joke that each child after that is just asymptotically approaching chaos. Mm-hmm. I have a chart of basically all the unique connection points every time you add an additional N to the grid. And that just basically represents every point at which someone could argue with somebody else. And as you're adding a child, it's
do the math on that, Joe. With 8 people, it's
8 people. How many connection points?
It's 150 different ones or something. It's insane.
But so you asymptotically approach chaos. But I think for me, the point that I would say I was most under pressure is shortly after we ended up taking in our youngest two, which we ended up adopting eventually, but we had 4 at that point. Our fourth was at the time just out of diapers, if I remember, or almost out of diapers.
Yes, I've talked about this on the show.
You know, having changed diapers for I don't know how many years at that point, you know, we were kind of excited about that. Yeah. And then, you know, we were going to, our intent was really to adopt one.
No, our intent was to adopt 2, but we always said we would do it one at a time because we didn't trust ourselves to be able to take on the difficulty of 2 at once. We were worried.
Our intent was to kind of go
slower.
Yeah. And we ended up getting a sibling placement. Mm-hmm. So we went from 4 to 6. I kind of joke, it's like having twins when you want to have your last child. And we went from having basically one that was just out of diapers, who ended up regressing when we brought in the other 2, to having now 3 in diapers.
Half your kids are in diapers.
So 3 in diapers, that was a low point in parenting.
That's a stressful point.
Yeah. So I think that was just generally a very, stressful time. I think too, I mean, it's sort of unique to our situation, having, doing sort of foster to adopt, but there's also just a lot of emotional things going on in our family as we were, adjusting 2 kids in our house, accepting them, and having conversations. So in the midst of all of that and all of the sort of physical caretaking that was required, I think that's probably, as I just sit here and think about it, the one moment that sort of emerges as being under pressure the most.
I remember we went on vacation together after you had adopted. And I don't know if, Joe, you remember this.
Oh, I'm sure I remember.
We went to...
I'm not sure we're going to... I think I remember the vacation, but I'm not sure
we went to Yellowstone National Park. You guys were doing a road trip, and we met you there for the week. And during the latter half of that trip, we rented a vacation home. So our 2 families were in this vacation home, and we were having this exact discussion. I think me, Joe, and you.
I think I may not have used the term asymptotically approaching chaos.
Right. So, I think we were asking you.
Was it more acutely approaching chaos?
So this, I think, was the first time we had vacationed with you after you fostered to adopt, and we were asking you, like, how is that going? How's it going at home? And you were describing,
It was a stressful time. I totally understand why it was, but
chaos.
even externally, you could see that. It was.
We looked tired.
Yeah, I mean, we were like, "Wow, that was a lot," right? Like,
and I think you were describing just how you were kind of close to chaos before, and at that time, clearly over the line,
cross the
threshold of just pure chaos. And while you said that, our kids were playing somewhere in this vacation home, and there was like a large bang, and then crying, and we all looked at each other, and we're like, that couldn't have been better times. That whatever mayhem that was happening upstairs, it just kind of got released at that moment. So it was just kind of a comical moment for the chaos of your life.
I don't remember that specific event, but I'm sure it happened.
Just
so many things are just a blur in that period.
So my memory of that time, as we always kind of talk about these parenting stressors and then sort of the practical tips we had on how to relieve them. My memory of that time, because that was also an exceptionally busy time for you at work. Yeah. I had really worked to clear my work schedule because I was in the ER, I was doing shift work. So I could clear my shifts. I knew it was going to be busy. So I'm almost like when you have a new baby, I blocked shifts for a period of time. But I remember you would have your weekend time at home because you were so busy during the week. And I just remember time after time, we would hit Friday night and you and I would sit there with a piece of paper and list all of the things that were difficult. And we would create this way to kind of make life easier. And it usually involved some series of baby gates and diaper changing stations and any type of what baby equipment can help in this situation reduce some of the stress. We were very analytical, let's solve the problem with the resources that we have because we just need to get through this.
Well, because we were talking about being purposeful earlier, right? It's or intentional, being intentionality. So really sitting down and not letting that overwhelm you, but sit down and say, okay, what can we control?
Yes. What can we control here?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, being able to just kind of chip away at it, like
yeah,
each
I
week
remember,
a little tiny bit.
Yeah, because at the time, our youngest, he was almost 3, and then our daughter, who came next, was almost 2. And I remember one of my specific challenges after the end of 1 week was like, I need a way to be able to separate them. They cannot be together all day. Like they are going to hurt themselves and drive the rest of the house crazy. And so we had to create a system where like they could both be in separate places safely without me being present. Like I needed to know that there was a way to divide them once in a while safely to do their own thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So as an engineer, we would discuss that. And then often it was like my responsibility to like engineer the solution.
Oh yeah. And you would also offload, you've always been gifted at this. I think this is because your dad was an architect. You would do these like practically 2-scale drawings, like 3-dimensional of like our house and gates and whatever. I mean, they were like these beautiful drawings you would create while we were talking.
So I wanted to like maybe vibe off, Erik had talked about, the purposefulness in both of our parenting. What like I hear about in both of our parenting is not just the purposefulness, like the team problem solving purposefulness. Like what, I mean, cause I know personally what we do, right? I don't always know exactly what you do, but like even just listening to that or whatever, the like sitting down with a sheet of paper, or like Sylvia and I often go for like a walk where we problem solve something, where like the goal of that is to like, okay, let's like hash out what the current parenting problem is. We'll talk through a variety of solutions and we'll try to like then like agree on like, okay, what's the best path forward? And it sounds very much like you guys are commonly, doing that or whatever. And I think, that's a great technique in terms of making sure we're both on the same page, making sure that we're purposeful about it, making sure that like everybody feels heard. And part of it is honestly just hearing the emotion of like what was hard and what can be helpful as well.
Oh,
it's just
for sure.
Somebody being sympathetic to like, those 2 kids going at it, that was driving me crazy too. Even if we can't necessarily find the ideal solution that will prevent it, having somebody to talk through and heard you about it and maybe come up with ideas, it's just a really useful parenting thing. So I think the ability to take some time together and purposely, make these kind of joint decisions and hear each other out, I think is part of what I think makes both of our parenting more effective than it would be otherwise.
I think in some cases, in some scenarios, when there's a lot of pressure because there's just a lot to do with a lot of kids, it can often, instead of the cooperative method, I can see in other scenarios it being another point of contention.
Sure.
Where if one parent feels really overwhelmed and they're talking to another parent, it actually, instead of inspiring a collaborative effort, it inspires an adversarial effort where there's blame, there's finger pointing, there's like, well, why didn't you do it this way? And it can actually be something that hurts the situation between partners rather than working together to solve. And I do remember there's been periods of time where I felt very stressed, where I'm describing a stressful situation. And as our children are getting bigger, sometimes the defense of those children can kind of get in the way of venting or talking about emotions and problems from one perspective. And there have been times where I'm talking about a stressful situation with one of our kids where there might be some defensiveness involved, where I will say to you, I just need you to listen to me complain.
Yes.
Right? Like, I need you to hear me. And it's not your time right now to tell me everything I'm doing wrong. This walk is for me to tell you.
I've never made that mistake.
How stressful this current situation is.
Well, yeah, so
and then we can problem solve later.
This might just be, I mean, maybe it's a male-centered thing, maybe it's an engineer thing or whatever, but like, you come to us with a problem and our instinct is, maybe if you just put, the cross beam here and, whatever.
I think I've actually gotten better.
Come back and talk to me.
I think I've gotten better where there are times where I come to you and I'm like, okay, I just want to preface this by, I just need to complain to you for a minute. Yeah. I'm going to vent fully.
No, it is helpful to sometimes.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to stop you and say, nope, I don't want to hear your ideas on how to solve the problem.
Right.
I just want to vent because this is so incredibly frustrating.
Right. So I think that what we're saying as a common theme here, obviously having 4 and 6 kids respectively is stressful, but how do we manage to deal with that stress in a partnering, cooperative way.
You want to collaborate on it.
As opposed to, you can imagine, sometimes that stress might drive a couple apart because it just is a seed for other arguments.
Working together as a team and figuring out how to collaborate and, relieve each other when necessary, whether it's just hearing someone vent or giving someone a break. I have to admit, I'm sure there were times I just said, go sleep, or I'll take.
I'm sure there
might have been. I don't know.
I'm sure there were.
You were probably so sleep deprived.
It's a blur.
It's
a blur.
It definitely happened.
I'm sure it's happened.
I'm sure there were.
But again, working together as a team, I think is really beneficial in terms of reducing the pressure, right? Because you've got more energy and parties to absorb it.
Yeah. I also feel like they're beyond just the couple and the collaborative effort. There's the support that we have as the four of us as friends. We do know a lot of each other's stories because we support each other as couples, right? Yeah. Misery loves company sometimes, and to be able to talk about our stressful moments and relate to each other and support each other as a community can be helpful as well.
One of my favorite comments ever was hearing this parenting apology when your second was kind of colicky because your first as a baby was an angel. And our first was more difficult. Like I remember there was this moment, we kind of just assumed you guys were bad parents and we were really great parents. Sorry about that. It was like, all right, that has created a nice bond.
Having now 6 kids, and I'm sure if we had more, we would see even more variety. But, it's funny because if you only have a few kids, you might think, I'm going to take credit because I'm really good at this. Our middle son is like a super picky eater. And so you've always said
I've talked about this.
We hadn't had him, we would have thought,
great chefs.
So good.
Nice.
So
I would have thought, all you people with picky eaters, what are you doing?
What's your problem? Come on. So.
It does give you more overall sympathy with other people's situations when you've seen a little bit more variety.
And we talk about that a lot, about another pressure point in parenting is the judginess, how other people can judge you when your child is going through something or having a moment. That ridicule that you can feel from other people judging you can be very unpleasant, right?
So I will say, I think we're going to have to, see how our listener feedback goes to decide if we invite you again sometime.
Yeah, maybe you guys can be.
This will be your most listened to episode.
That's because Joe's going to put it on his YouTube
channel. So when I link it to my channel, all of my followers, they will all come here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many of them are parents, though. I think that my demographic is actually like 20 to 30-year-old men.
They're preparing.
I know, right? And you're showing that you're a dad too, right? Yeah. You wear multiple hats. So thank you so much to our special guests for coming on. I hope you had a good time on our show.
Yeah,
maybe you'll invite us back sometime.
I really enjoyed this discussion. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, this has been 10 Kids, 2 Docs. I'm Eric.
And I'm Joe.
See you next time.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening to 10 Kids, 2 Docs, hosted and created by Sylvia Bank and Vivian Carlin. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and recommend our podcast to other listeners. Visit our website at 10kids2docs.com, where you can find links to social media and leave comments or suggestions. Back next week with more topics in parenting.